Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're building a power deck. That is a deck centered around high-powered characters and payoffs for paying high-powered characters. One of these payoffs that was released with Ursula's return is Flynn Rider, the Frenemy. As a 2/2 for 2, it's been showing up quite a bit in some potent deck lists nowadays, because at the start of your turn, if you control the character with the most power, and it must be higher than the opponent's characters, then you gain 3 lore, which means that Flynn can essentially give you 4 lore per turn if he's uncontested. With his additional questing for 1, he can safely accumulate lore without exerting, just with his passive ability, as long as you have the other powerful character. And 3 lore per turn is a lot, especially on an inkable card. So this is going to be the centerpiece of our deck. But there's also other payoffs for playing high-powered characters. One of those is Li Shang, the Valorous General, as a 3/2 for 3. He has the ability to give all of your characters with 4 power or more plus 1 lore. Okay. Power equals lore. That's what we're going for. So we're going to be playing full play set of Li Shang. The shifting is quite awkward. Because you don't really want to pay a shifting target plus discarding a card to get your tree drop into play. I'm not sure why you'd ever want to do that. I mean, it's an upside, but upside 0. Let's leave it at that. I'll be playing 4 copies of Li Shang. And that's where we're Ruby. So Ruby gives us Li and Flynn, and we'll have access to a bunch of other high-powered characters. But what do we pick for other ink? There's not really obvious payoffs for big-powered characters. Well, there is. It's written a different way on the card. And that card is Alice, the Growing Girl. As a 1/4, whenever she has 10 power or more, she's suddenly 5 quester. Power equals lore. That's our theme. And all of your other characters have support, so if they have high power, they can boost Alice to the moon, where she can quest for 5. Or maybe 6 if you have Li on the battlefield, because, again, with giving everyone support, you can give your weaker characters enough power so that they can get the additional questing off of Li Shang. So that's going to be our wombo combo for the deck. Also, they're all fairly solid cards on their own. Maybe a little weak on the willpower for Li and for Flynn. I mean, Flynn's a 2-drop. What do you expect? Alright, so let's play some high-powered characters. First one that comes to mind, Mr. Maui. High power, high removal. Let's pick the Enchanted, because we are in the deck builder, the companion app. So 4 copies of the Enchanted Maui. It's going to be acting as our removal spell by excellence. Another character that comes to mind for high power, and we've seen that one a lot in Ruby Amethyst, or, well, most Ruby decks nowadays. It's Sisu, the Emboldened Warrior, simply because he grows so big, so fast, and he's a 2-quester, he has a lot of willpower. It's really just big stats on the tree drop. Really big stats. So we're going to be playing a full play set, as he's going to be on the power side of things. Okay, so now we have a couple of powerful characters, we have a couple of payoffs. There's another character that can shift the balance, and that is Lumiere. Not this one's trash. This one, the Fiery Friend, which gives all your other characters +1 power. That's interesting. With Alice, if your board is wide, that stacks pretty high. In particular, Li Shang states your characters, not your other characters. Your characters with 4 power or more get +1 lore. So with Lumiere in play giving it +1 power, Li Shang suddenly quests for 2. And if you have multiple Li Shangs, then they can all boost each other and quest for a lot. And you only need 1 Lumiere to illuminate the dungeon they're in. I guess it's kind of a torch, but a fancy torch, because we're fancy people. Alright, so we have a nice core going on here. What are we missing? Removal, card draw are blatantly missing from this list. Well, we do have Maui for removal, but let's go after the card draw. Ruby Sapphire has limited options when it comes to drawing, as I've gone to multiple options in the past. I mean, it's kind of okay. Well, let's play full place at Queen of Hearts. We're playing high-powered characters, not afraid of combats, and she's 4-powered, so she works well with Li. Then we have Hiram Flaversham, king card drawer. That's really one of the main reasons to go towards Sapphire. So we're probably going to be playing Flaversham, but he doesn't play as well in our high-powered theme. And just otherwise, our options are somewhat limited. But there is one thing that shows up if we go after draw. That's quite interesting, and that's the Medallion Weights. Not normally a card I'd consider. But let's take a look at the ability. Chosen character gets +2 this turn, increasing power. Whenever they challenge another character, you may draw a card. Alright. So giving +2 power to one of our characters. If we have Li, we can turn that into extra lore, potentially. If we have Alice, we can turn that into extra lore. We can turn that into a more powerful support ability. And it's a little bit of a niche effect, but it's also an item. And if we're playing here on Flaversham, then not only can we ink it, but we can eat it. And speaking of eating, we're going to be playing Pawpsicles, since Flaversham is going to be our core draw engine, with the Queen of Hearts being the supporting draw engine for this deck. We also need another item, and our options are a little bit limited when it comes to items. So we're going to be playing something cheap. We have the option of Magic Golden Flower, which is okay, and one of my go-tos. Actually, my filtering is wrong. Let's look at items, and I really want one drop, or maybe a 2-drop item. Ice Block, well, I don't want the uninkable stuff. The Imperial Proclamation is a good one, except that I don't plan on challenging my 2-drops. Lumiere and Flynn are really there to just provide a passive ability. So not quite what I want. Magic Golden Flowers, okay. Scepter of Arendelle is what I'm going to go for, because support increases power, and power equals lore. So we can do some shenanigans with the Scepter of Arendelle. We'll probably end up inking it every time, but who knows when it's going to come in handy. And I really want it as a 1-drop so we can eat it with Flaversham. Alright, so that takes care of our card draw. Well, mostly at least. Also, we do have the potential draw off of the medallion. In terms of removal, what do we have? Well, we have one of the new all-star cards for removal in Ruby. That is Brawl. Just banishing a character at power 2 or less is just very good, very timely. Can also punch above its weight and hit Flavershams. It's inkable, so there's very little cost to playing Brawls. I'm only playing 3 copies because a lot of my payoffs are already in the 3-drop slot. I mean, Alice, Li, and Sisu are all in 3. So 3 is not really where I want my removal to be, but Brawl is just too good to pass up. So where do I want my removal to be? Our 1-drops are acceptable at this point. Not the best, but I mean, Pawpsicle is a fine turn 1. There's not much else I want to play. Typically ones for the shifting targets, for Pawpsicles, for the setups, or for the hard aggro type of cards. So we have Flynn, we have 2 2-drops and the medallions as backup. That's probably enough. Our 3-drop is quite saturated. We could use another 4-drop. We can probably use something a little bigger. Okay. Well, if we're talking removal and we're in Ruby, we should be playing the Queen of Removal. And you know where I'm going with this, Madame Medusa. Let's play 3 copies of Medusa. In particular, we haven't been playing very many uninkables so far. Actually, Madame Medusa is the first one. So that's pretty good. Then in terms of removal, I really like Let It Go. Because Because removal that's inkable and that's a song is just amazing. The drawback is bad, but I mean, it's still amazing. It hits a lot of good boxes. I mentioned that there is some space in my 4-drop slot. And there is one nice piece of removal in the 4-drop. Be King Undisputed. Not something that I want to play all the time. So I'll be sticking with 2 copies. Especially because it's an inkable. If this was inkable, I'd probably be playing 4 copies and declare it an amazing card. But the lack of inkability makes it a bit awkward, especially if the opponent's gone wide and you're playing it. The opponent has to sacrifice a 1-drop Robin. It's disappointing. But to sing it, we should also use another 4-drop. I'm looking for something inkable. Gramma Tala gives us a nice 4-drop. She replaces herself, fits a little bit into our card draw, a little bit of a filler card that's going to get inked most of the time, but it gives us some options, which is kind of what I'm looking for at the current time. And we need 2 more cards, some flex spot. One thing that we're lacking is a bit of toughness or resistance. So I'm going to go and pick on the left side. Per Cogsworth, Grandfather Clock. If we can give resist to our characters, then our high powered is going to allow us to do crazier challenges, among other things. Also, if we can boost Cogsworth, he becomes quite a big threat as a 2/5 warded resisting character. Let's play a pair of Cogsworth just to round up our list. Yeah, I know he's not high powered, but it's just 2 flex spots to give us a different angle of attack. And there we have it, the Powerless Alliance. Maybe I should just name it Powerless Alliance. I need to stop saying it because I will trip on my tongue. So, all that remains is to see the deck in action with some games that are coming right up. Let's see what we can do with game 1. We find Lumiere, Pawpsicle, Flaversham, Brawl, Flynn, Cogsworth, and a Sisu. Flynn into Sisu is kind of the ultimate 1-2 curve. Actually, we have Pawpsicle, Flaversham. This is ideal. So let's keep this as is. And let's see who goes first. Red's our opponent, black is us. Opponents go first. Opponent is going to ink a Cinderella. Slightly awkward first ink to land a queen. As turn passes back to us. We find the second Flaversham, that is going to get inked instantly. And we're going to play our Pawpsicle. And we find Gramma. That's a nice pickup. We move back to our opponent's turn. Opponent is going to in the face of a Pawpsicle. Ink a Rapunzel. And land a Mr. Smee, questing for 1 with the queen. Alright, and turn passes back to us. So we find another Flynn Rider. So we're going to ink 1 and play 1. Going to 2. And Mr. Flynn now applying a little bit of pressure to our opponent. Picks up another card for the turn. Opponent will ink a Rapunzel. Going to 3 ink. I don't think I'd do that. Hardcast, Strength of Raging, Fire, take down Flynn. Which is unfortunate. And then the opponent gets a free quest for 3. Going to 4. Smee will take a point of damage at the end step. As turn passes back to us, find another Cogsworth, which we are going to ink so that we can play Sisu, the empowered sibling warrior. Should I highlight some Sisu? Sisu gets +1 power for each card in our opponent's hand, which is currently 3, so it's a 4/4. As we pass the turn back, opponent picks up a card, inks a Robin for the turn. Opponent is going to shift the Queen. That costs 2 for shift. Still 2 remaining, and the Zeus Lightning is going to take out our Sisu. And Smee's going to come in for another 2 points of lore. As the opponent passes the turn back, we find Lumiere, number 2. So for 4, we have the option of Flaversham, Gramma, Tala, or double Lumiere. Double Lumiere is actually pretty fun. Brawl doesn't do anything against that board, so we're going to ink it. I think I would go double Lumiere here. Or Flaversham. It's so nice to have more options, more draw options. Let's go Flaversham. Eat our Pawpsicle, pick up some cards. Find a pair of Mauis. Nice. As turn passes back to our opponent, opponent draws. And opponent is going to sing A Whole New World. Ugh. So devastating in a scenario like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the opponent. 7 for us as well. But just so I'm not biased, I won't pick those up right away. So now Mr. Smee has 2 points of damage from damage last turn that I forgot to put on it. Opponent is on 5. Opponent would cast Aerial. Take a look at the top 4. Finds a strength for Raging Fire. Going into the hand. And then going into the ink. Not what our opponent was looking for. And with 2, opponent is going to be playing a small Robin Hood. That completes their turn. Oh yeah, we have 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No items. A pair of a lot, so 2 pairs. If we were playing Lorcana poker, it'd be actually probably wouldn't be that great a hand. But still, 2 pairs. Some Grammatalas and an Alice. As turn moves back to us, we pick up a Lumiere. And we're only on turn 4. So Lumiere with double Alice seems quite interesting. We certainly don't need that extra Flaversham. So Flaversham goes out. We go to 5. We need to play some stuff. Although Sisu's also pretty nice. That Queen's problem. I would probably go Alice Lumiere. Because that's 5. And yeah, I mean, Flaversham's just a little short of taking down the Queen. So I'll pass the turn back. One picks up another card for turn. Alright, how does the opponent sequence this? There's going to be an inked Bare Necessities, going to 6. 3 of that's going to be shifting a Big Robin. Getting ready to rob us of a win Okay, we're not anywhere close to winning, but still. Hardcast an aerial. Looks at the top 4 cards. And finds the bare necessities, I think. Oh, I should have taken the world's greatest criminal with the queen's ability. Oh well. I'm already shuffled, so bare necessities it is. Opponent is going to sing, and then along came Zeus at Alice, since Alice is the most dangerous card we have. Robin's going to sing Let the Storm Rage On, taking out Lumiere, picking up a card. And yeah, that 3 was for Ariel. His opponent is tapped out. And then opponent is going to sing A Whole New World off of the queen. Just denying us our hand. But that'll be the end of our opponent's turn. So you get a fresh set of cards in the shape of, okay, stuff. Oh, Madam Medusa, I like that. So we pick up the card for the turn at Gramma Tala. Not what we're looking for. Actually, we have a pair of Madam Medusas here. We're going to ink our Scepter of Arendelle, which doesn't do overly much in this particular board. Play Madam Medusa, take out Robin. Goodbye, Mr. Hood. And we don't have combat with Flaversham, neither do we have a good quest. So we'll pass turn back to our opponent, who's flush with cards. 7 cards from the Whole New World. Opponent picks up for the turn. Yeah, we're gonna get destroyed. When Amber Steel Songs gets 1 or 2 Whole New Worlds like that, it's just terrible. Strength for Raging Fire takes out Madam Medusa. Just damage spells left, right, center, right again. Inks a queen, goes to 7. And you can just keep on inking cards too. What do you want to play? So 7. Cinderella. Rapunzel, that's 5. And a flute for opponent, that's 7. Flute can tick because there's been a song played this turn, goes to 7. Opponent can sing Strength for Raging Fire off of Ariel, 6 for Flaversham. Yes, this is disgusting. And sings A Whole New World, yet again, off of the queen. Nuking our hand, just like that. And sitting pretty at 7 with a full board. It's in these situations that I really wished I was playing Be Prepared, but I was not prepared for this. Our opponent was. Alright. Find some Sisus, some Flynns. Let's ink that Pawpsicle. Go to 7. And 7 is going to be double Flynn Sisu. Back at you, opponent. Opponent draws for the turn. So those shifted singers and Ariel, they allow the opponent to sing the power songs just so fast. I'm starting to be out of space on the opponent's board. Opponent sings World's Greatest Criminal, which apparently is our dragon Sisu. Should have highlighted World's Greatest Criminal. Haven't been doing enough highlighting this game. Criminal. Just banish a character at 5 or more. Cinderella can sing that. Rapunzel can heal Mr. Smee, which I forgot last turn. So that's 4 ink used, 2 cards. opponent can ink a small queen, have access to 4 more ink, and it's really just a massacre at this point. So I think I'm just going to do some of the questing. Well, 4 Strength for Raging Fire, take out a Flynn, and just start to get us out of our misery. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, up to 15. Turn passes back to us, and we've got nothing in the face of the destructive power of Amber Steel Songs. Let's go to game 2. Red's our opponent, black is us. 5-4. We gotta go first. And we get to go first with a Medusa, Hiram, Flaversham, a Brawl, Scepter, Brawl, Li Shang, and a Let It Go. So we don't want double Brawl, that's too much. Li's good. Scepter, Flaversham might be nice. So maybe we have a bit of a curve here with Scepter, Li or Brawl, and Hiram, Flaversham. So let's send Brawl out. Let's send Medusa too. It's a little too early. So I'll send these two back. We find a Pawpsicle and Lumiere. Alright, so we found an improvement over our Scepter of Arendelle, which means we get to ink it. Not a problem. Ink it. Getting us our first point of ink, playing the Pawpsicle, finding another Scepter. Apparently these Scepters like to be found. As we pass the turn back to deep to our opponent, the opponent is going to ink a small Ursula. And a landing Cursed Merfolk. Ugh, that thing's annoying. As turn passes back to us, we pick up Maui. Second Scepter is going to bite the dust, go to the ink. And on 2, we now have a 2-drop, so we'll play Lumiere. I'm happy to have that. I'll pass the turn to our opponent. On 2, opponent is going to ink Ursula and land Mr. Shmee with the Merfolks questing for 2. Opening quite aggressively from our opponent. The add second point of ink. No, there it is. And we pick up Be King Undisputed. Alright, so we need to ink something. Have the option of a Brawl or a Li Shang for our turn. I think we're going to ink our Let It Go in this particular matchup. We want to play Hiram, Flaversham next turn. I think we need to brawl away that Cursed Merfolk, or we can just fight it with Lumiere. Fight it, and then if the opponent tries to fight back with Smee, we 2 for 1. We can get rid of our King Undisputed. Yeah, alright, let's just tap out, play Li Shang. Lumiere takes out Cursed Merfolk, which is going to take out our King Undisputed. And that'll be our turn 3 as we pass back to our opponent. Opponent is going to ink Miss Daisy Duck, going to 3, and landing the Deceiver of all, Ursula. Well, I think we need to highlight something here, and that card is Li, because we're playing it. And you're probably all sick of Ursula, Deceiver of all at this point in time. So Li Shang, Valorous General, shifting, very expensive for a 3-drop, so don't shift it. As Mr. Smee probably wants to quest here, I think. So that's going to be a point of damage for 2 ink, 2 lore. Turn passes back to us. Li, with Lumiere's ability, has +1 in power, which means that it can quest for 2, which is quite interesting. We pick up a second Flaversham. No questions asked. You're inked. And it's our only... Ooh, actually, we probably want to take out Ursula in this case. That's not a song, but we need to brawl out that Ursula. So it'll be slightly ineffective in terms of ink to take out a huge threat. Don't really want to lose my Li. So I guess I'm going to quest with Lumiere. Whatever. Quest both. This is an aggro deck. while our opponent's playing an aggro deck. So let's just double quest, go to 3, thanks to Li's ability. Opponent's turn. Opponent inks a Robin Hood. Up to 4. And it's going to be Let the Storm Rage On for opponent, targeting Li. I guess that's why this card doesn't see that much play. Because when the storm rages, it's on. And Mr. Smee's going to quest. Once on 4 on the draw. Alright. Smee's going to take a point of damage, and that'll be the turn for our opponent. We pick up another Lumiere. Alright. Do we want to Maui away that Mr. Smee? Or do we Flaversham? Let's play here on Flaversham. So I'll pay our 4, eat our Pawpsicle, pick up some cards. Picking up Medallion Weights and Brawl. Alright. Alright. Well, I'm not sure I need that Brawl anymore. So I can send that away. Let's send the Brawl away. And Mr. Smee. Well, now we have Flaversham to fight Smee next turn. So let's just pass the turn here. Actually, Smee can't quest anymore. He's just going to die to his ability. Opponent draws. Opponent is going to ink Sudden Chill, going to 5. And with 5, our opponent is going to land the good old-fashioned Beast Tragic Hero. Card drawer for millennias. Alright. What do we do? Well, Smee can... No, Smee can't quest. So the turn passes back to us. So we pick up another Pawpsicle. Nice top deck here. Very nice. Yeah, I sent my Brawl. Yeah, Brawl is going to the ink last turn. Sorry, we are at 5. I forgot to add my point of ink. Gonna play our Pawpsicle, pick up a card. Oh, it's another Pawpsicle. We're gonna eat the Pawpsicle with Mr. Flaversham, drawing 2 cards. Sisu and Flynn. Alright, that's quite interesting. I think we get rid of the Medallion here. So we're going to ink the Medallion. Have 5, which is just enough to go Flynn Sisu. Now's the time to highlight Flynn. Flynn Rider. Another target for Let the Storm Rage On. But otherwise, at the start of our turn, if we have the most powerful character, which is currently our Sisu, then we get to gain 3 lore, which is quite a good amount of lore. So on that note, we'll pass the turn to our opponent, who's going to pick up 2 cards. One off of the Tragic Hero and the other card for the turn. Off of that, opponent's gonna ink a Friar Tuck, going to 6. Mr. Smee's not the best one to fight Flaversham. And Beast Tragic Hero doesn't want to take any damage, so I think the opponent just gonna play stuff to the board. Our Robin Hood, any Cursed Merfolk will enter the fray. And we're at a bit of a standstill here. So turn passes back to us on 6. Draw a card. Sisu's the most powerful character, so we gain 3 lore off of Flynn. It's also nice. It allows us to gain some lore without having to exert a character, which does leave us into this into this stalemate. We'll be winning because of Flynn. And here, we can go double Lumiere and have Flaversham be a powerhouse. That's quite tempting, actually. Let's play a Pawpsicle, pick up a card. I'll let it go. Definitely want that. So I'm gonna hardcast Let It Go, get rid of that beast. That's giving our opponents too many cards. Opponent goes to 7. And now I can't play Lumiere's because I've hardcasted it. Don't think I've inked my card for turn. Still going to take the advantage of eating the Pawpsicle for some cards. Find Madame Medusa and a Cogsworth. Really should have done that first. That's okay. Still have another prime target for Madame Medusa. I'm going to send a Lumiere to the ink. Brings us to 7. But again, we've spent our ink for the turn. Sisu's now only 3-4. Actually, Sisu's always been 3-4. Yoink. I never should have gotten these 3 inks. Opponent only has 2 cards in hand, which makes Sisu a 3-4 and deserves me highlighting Sisu. I'm just so used to Sisu having unlimited power. But it's not unlimited. If the opponent has fewer cards in hand, it can become a measly 1-1. Oh, no, never mind. We had Lumiere. So Lumiere actually brought Sisu to 4. So +2 for the cards in hand, +1 for the Lumiere on the battlefield. We're good. We're good. And it's time for our opponent to play. Opponent picks up a card. And opponent is just going to land Ursula and Prince John this turn. I mean, Mr. Smee's meant to go out at some point. So Smee's going to challenge Flaversham, dealing 3 to it, so that Robin can take it out. 1 point of damage to Robin, and opponent gains 2 lore off of the exchange off of Robin's ability. Curse Merfolk is there to quest, so going up to 10 for opponent. As the turn passes back to us, opponent with 1 card in hand. That means this time Sisu's only at 3 off of Lumiere's ability, which is not enough to gain us some lore. We pick up a card for turn, another Sisu. We're at 7. That Maui's tempting. But I feel like we need to go Lumiere Medusa. Lumiere is going to boost our characters enough to outpower our opponents so that we can start triggering Flynn. And Madame Medusa can, well, take out that Robin Hood. Or that Ursula, but I think we need to take out Robin. So 6, take out Robin. And Robin reads when he's banished and challenged. Opponent doesn't draw a card off of Madame Medusa. We can not land Lumiere unless we ink something. Let's ink our... I want to say Maui. If I discard a card off with Cursed Merfolk, John's going to draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, let's ink our Maui. Going to 2, and 2 is Lumiere number 2. As we get to quest with Sisu, let's go to 8. Actually, Flynn's now a 4-powered character. Opponent doesn't have much to deal with that. So let's quest with Flynn as well. And, well, Lumiere is also 3-powered, which is critical mass for this board. Let's bring the score to 10-10. As we pass the turn back to our opponent. Ursula is going to do Ursula Madness and double cast Mother Knows Best. And I'm not sure what she's targeting. Sisu probably doesn't want to give us Medusa, so doesn't really matter. Flynn, I think, has to be the target, so we don't gain the lore. And the opponent has a Mr. Smee to play as a follow-up. Cursed Merfolks are going to enter the battlefield, which does nothing. Are going to quest. Brings our opponent to 12. Opponent is empty-handed now. Prince John doesn't want to quest just yet because they get to pick up a card off of the Merfolks. Turn passes back to us, 10-12. Pretty close game now. Opponent can quest for 2, 4, 6, 7. It's not quite lethal, and with no cards in hand, maybe we can try to just do a Flynn finish. So 2, 4, and you can land a Cogsworth. Is that enough? I mean, that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 for next turn. With the resist from Cogsworth, that's tempting. So let's ink a Sisu. It gives us 5+4, which is going to be Cogsworth and a pair of Flynns. Nothing exerted, no nothing. Let's see if you can top deck yourself out of this, dear opponent. I can reveal it. Prince John's not going to do it. Opponent quests with everything. 2, 4, 6, 7. Goes to 19. Drops another Prince John. Passes the turn back. And because we have the double Lumiere, actually it doesn't matter because we have Madame Medusa. So because we have Madame Medusa at 6 powered, because there's chandeliers in her room, which seems to go with Madame Medusa's team, let's give a little highlight to Lumiere's here. Before we end this, Lumiere, just give our other characters +1. As Flynn triggers when we draw a card. We pick up 6 point of lores off of the Flynn, 16, and then we just quest. And that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom! We go to 23 and win the game using Flynn's magical ability of gaining a ton of lore. That was a great game too. Pretty close. Let's go to game number 3. See the rolls. 4 for our opponent, 3 for us, which means we're going second. And what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have Scepter for Flaversham, Flynn, Li Shang, Alice. That's a pretty cool hand. I'm going to keep it as is. So opponent goes first. Opponent inks a Queen's Castle. And goes with Mr. Pascal as the turn 1 play. Turn passes back to us. Find the Sisu. Wonderful. Don't need that Gramma Tala, at least not right now, as we will land turn 1 Scepter of Arendelle, passing the turn back to our opponent. Opponent inks a foil Maleficent. Doesn't matter that it's foil. No, it does not. I just wanted to highlight it. As the opponent is questing for 1. Just wanted to highlight. Not all my cards are proxies. But some of the 12 Beast Tragic Prince might be. As we pick up a card for the turn, I'll Let It Go. Don't need 2 of those. We're going to ink 1 of those Let It Goes. And land a Flynn Rider. The pressure is on, opponent. As we pass the turn, and I'm going to highlight Mr. Flynn. One of the main reasons to play this deck. Whenever we start the turn with the highest powered character, boom, we gain 3 lore. Opponent's going to ink another Maleficent and play 1 to draw a card. Pascal can now quest for free with no pressure. Turn passes back to us. We find Li Shang number 2. Multiple Li Shang can be interesting, as their ability does stack, but we need high-powered characters in play. I think we can aim that Let It Go. In the control matchup, our opponent is playing card draw-y stuff. and not big pressure cards. So let's land Sisu and apply some pressure to the opponent. Can't challenge Pascal, and I don't want to trade Flynn for Maleficent, so we're going to pass turn back. Opponent picks up a card. It's going to ink Chernobog's Follower. Going to 4. And at 4, it's going to be a Merlin Bunny. More cards for more fun, as a control player would say. Opponent quests for 2. That's 4-0. Unwinnable hockey score. Quite fine in Lorcana. So we pick up Lumiere. Ooh, that's fun, especially with double Li Shangs. I'm sorry, Alice. Maybe another game. Alice goes out, and while we're getting ready to combo, we do need to be ink efficient. Oh, I forgot. Start of turn. Opponent has 5 cards in hand, so we've gained 3 lore off of Flynn Rider. It's highlighted. I shouldn't forget, except I'm not looking at the highlighted card. Hiram Flaversham comes in, eats her Scepter of Arendelle to pick up 2 cards. Another Li Shang. I mean, things are about to get crazy. As Sisu can... Well, we can quest with Sisu, but... Amethyst. What are the odds of our opponent not having a Maui or a Madame Fox? I'd say our odds aren't great. So I think I'm just going to pass the turn and try to wombo combo my way out. The opponent's still a little ways off from that fateful 7 ink. Cusco gets inked this time. Opponent at 5. An opponent is going to sing Friends on the Other Side with Maleficent, picking up 2 cards. And landing a goat. Boom, +1 lore. And a pair of critters are going to quest. 7-3 the score. As turn passes back to us, Sisu triggers Flynn. As the opponent still has 5 cards in hand, we go to 6, and we pick up another Sisu. I'm going to ink that Sisu. Going to 5, and we get a land Lumiere Li Shang, and suddenly all of our characters are a lot more powerful. In particular, Flaversham has some combat inside of him. He's now 2-powered. So Flaversham is going to take out Maleficent because he's always wanted to. Just cleaning down our opponent's board a little bit, although it's not the best combat to do. I'll just pass the turn back. Opponent readies. Inks a Madame Fox. Goes to the fateful 6, getting close to Be Prepared ink. I mean, we're pretty much all in right now on our plan of double Li Shang. Opponent's going to quest for 3, goes to 10, and on 6, it's going to be a Mim Fox. Bring back the money to the hand. And Fox is going to take out here on Flaversham, taking a point of damage. For 3, there's not that much our opponent can do. They can Mim Fox, bring back Pascal. I knew the opponent had some Mim Foxes. Of course, I can see my opponent's hand, so not as clever as when playing Pixelborn. So back to us. We pick up a Madame Medusa. We're going to ink our Maui because I want to go crazy with Li Shangs. Li Shang, Li Shang. All right, let's highlight Li Shang. And do not try this at home, because if the opponent has a Be Prepared, you get completely blown to smithereens. But honestly, I might do that in tournament scene with this deck, simply because if the opponent has a Be Prepared, the opponent is playing Ruby Amethyst Control at 5 cards in hand, and I'm not going to be winning that game. So maybe you try the all-in and hope that the opponent doesn't have to be prepared. So with Li Shang can now quest for 1 plus 3, so that's 4. And Sisu can now quest for 5. So questing for 5, questing for 4. That's 9, brings us to 15. Not bad, not bad. I might have missed a Flynn trigger, but did I miss a Flynn trigger? I think I did. It's too bad. It would make this really epic. So Flynn quests goes to 16. Lumiere quests go to 17. And if I missed a Flynn trigger, it's 20. If I didn't miss a Flynn trigger, well, let's see what our opponent has to say about it. That's what our opponent has right now. An opponent top decks. So be prepared, I'm gonna cry. I should have stacked it to be prepared. It would have been really nice, but it's a mini. The opponent doesn't have the removal spell. Can the opponent deal with our board? The opponent needs to take out most of the stuff. So Mim's gonna take out Sisu. Opponent's got a Maui, so that's gonna come down. Goat can take out Li Shang, gains 1 lore for our opponent, going to 11. And these two just deal some combat, dealing with Lumiere first, of course, so that Flynn loses the power boost. And that was 5, so the opponent still has 1 left. Opponent's going to ink a mini and land little kooky chameleon. Last turn passes back to us. We extend the game a little bit. At 6, we get to take out that chameleon. Yeah, take it out, Madame Medusa. No. Let's make this fun. Let's play Gramma Tala and see if we can find a Lumiere. Maui Cogsworth. Well, Cogsworth is ridiculously hard to remove, so we're gonna send Maui away and keep our Cogsworth. And we can quest for 2, going to 19, putting a bit more pressure on our opponent, passing the turn back. One picks up a Mim Snake. Doesn't really help. Characters will trade with our board. And unfortunately, the opponent has no way to deal with Gramma Tala. So we take the win. Now we would have been dead to Be Prepared. And we would have won the game if I hadn't potentially missed that Flynn trigger, which I keep on missing because I'm playing for the opponent. But that was kind of cool. I really love the impact of multi-Lis on the battlefield. That was fun. I hope that you've enjoyed the game. And now let's go to some post-game. And now it's time for the post-game debrief. So the Power Alice Alliance deck is actually quite okay. It's not outstanding, but it shows the power of Flynn Rider Frenemy as long as he has a couple of high-powered characters. And we've been seeing it even just paired with Sisu, who's just strong stats, and Maui. They both do the same thing. They're just super heavy on stats at a discount. And these two powerhouses with Flynn just allow you to gain a lot of lore and dominate the board in terms of board presence. And that's pretty good. Flaversham does his usual Flaversham things, although we're lacking a little bit in terms of the sacrificial items. Much prefer the Fortispheres. Li was pretty cool. I like Li. The only problem is his 2 willpower is just a little too weak. If he was a 3/3, I would like him so much more. We see it getting hit by Let the Storm Rage On. It's like, we just lost our 3-drop for free and the opponent gets a card. Yuck. And that's the biggest problem with it. We didn't get to see much of Alice in the games, which is unfortunate. Still think it's a good card, but it didn't pan out. It didn't feel like we ever had the opportunity to set up a wide board with Alice and a bunch of high-powered characters and then do our shenanigans. It felt a little too slow and that we had to ink Alice a lot of the times. What else? Madame Medusa is awesome as usual. Queen of Hearts didn't do very much. So basically, the parts of the list that work really well are parts of the list that are getting used right now by Ruby Amethyst. And most of the big Ruby lists leveraging Flynn Rider Frenemy. These parts are working well. We've had some cool shenanigans. I mean, Lumiere and Li work well together. The list felt pretty decent. I mean, we won a couple of games against very solid decks. So this is not a pushover. This is quite playable. And if you want to try it out, go for it. I'd encourage it. I'd like to see some of the cool interactions show up a bit more, like the Medallion Weights getting used and Alice. The Lees did get their extra lore be quite relevant. And if we can get another payoff for high-powered characters, and it doesn't even have to be in Ruby, maybe 2 payoffs and another ink or something else to go with Alice, some other draw spell that doesn't force us into the items, and we can have a real contender here. So again, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on your way out to see another video, and I will see you next time.